Hey guys and gals, hey pookies, it's Zippy. I'm back again after about, I don't know, maybe 5 years and a whole pandemic, but we're back and I'm here to go ahead and enlighten you guys on what I've been through in the past, I don't know, 5 or so years, but also to go ahead and in today's video provide more of a motivational, more of a self-talk kind of inspirational feedback approach. I want to go ahead and enter this channel on a different, completely note. And with that being said, I want to talk about some things I've been struggling with in myself that I think could go ahead and help other people. Now, the reason why I've started this channel to begin with, as a little introduction, is mainly because I have found a lot of help myself from other YouTubers on the platform and from the channel. I have found that many times when I go out and I'm struggling with something or I'm not feeling too great or it's a little hard to sleep at night, I might tune into someone who might give me a little note of wisdom or someone who might have some inspirational words to go ahead and lift me up. Now, that being said, of course I have my Bible, of course I have good friends, and of course my family, but I thought, why not go ahead and share some of what I've been going through with a community of people that might need it like I did. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm starting this channel, to go ahead and share with you what I have in store. So let's go ahead and get started. Now I get it. You guys are probably wondering why I was away from YouTube for about 5 years for so long and what I was doing with that time. But when I open up about my struggles, there's a lot to unpack there. One of the things that is key being there is relationships. I can tell you firsthand that as someone who is a female, a young adult, and just like a Gen Z, member of the generation, I've seen my fair share of relationship struggles, and I've also had to endure quite a lot with that. But even through the pitfalls and the grave depths I've been through, I'm here to remind you that it's not all bad. But there are some key things you can do. Now, as you can probably see right now, I'm a happy single woman, and so you're probably wondering what just happened right now, and that was actually my beautiful mechanical flower. And as you can see here, a great reminder of the day many of us single women fear the most, which is Valentine's Day. But I'm here to remind you that no longer do you have to live in fear like I did of those days, those celebrations, those anniversaries, those mark your calendars. It's time to celebrate the fact that you're in a relationship, you're committed, you're with somebody. But guess what? I'd always feel so bad and so left out, and my self-esteem would honestly take a hit whenever I found myself being single. But now, for the first time at 21, I can really undoubtedly say that I am so much more happier being single, and I am so much more glad that I am than before. But if you told me 5 years ago, I would never believed you. And if you had 100 people telling me the same thing for the past 5 years, telling me being single will lead you to be happy eventually, I just would never believe them, and I never really did. But now, having gone through it and having actually experienced it firsthand, I know for real that this is actually a good feeling, and it's something that's valid and a welcoming experience that I'm having for the first time in my life. So, being the ENFP that I am, before I talk about you, let's talk about me, so I can introduce myself a little bit more to you guys and see where I'm coming from. Well, basically, I am in pursuit of being the modern day female Benjamin Franklin, a Renaissance woman. I like to songwrite, produce, play tennis. I love to be active in everything. I love to also go ahead and be just outside, whether it's in nature, whether it be by the beach. But more importantly, I love to be productive with my time. I love to go ahead, try new instruments, try new cooking ideas, try everything. I feel like life has a purpose. And as someone who struggled to see what purpose was for the longest time, now seeing at this age makes me feel more alive than ever before. And I want the same thing to be applied to you guys as well. Also, I'm in college right now, so I'm pretty young. I'm a member of Gen Z. I am someone who is certainly studying computer science. Doesn't mean I'm like a nerdy, geeky, like book kind of person, which I am, but it also means that I'm also like a personal person. I like talking to people more than I like to spend time on a computer. Lastly, I would just say that, I'm Kenyan. I'm African. I've been African since day one. I'm so proud of that. And guess what? I've been there maybe about 3 times, but I'm headed back there soon again. And in case you guys are from the KE, I might see you, so hit me up down in the comments and let me know. Socials will be linked down below. So now that you guys know a little about me, let's go ahead and talk about you and what we can do to go help you guys. So today in our video, we're going to talk about relationships, and that's a big key thing that I've seen a lot of people This generation, older generations alike, all struggle with. And no matter how much you scroll through Reddit, okay, I've been there. There's so much on the internet and online that you can find. There's so much resources. There's so much you can go ahead and Google away. But in reality, it comes to just a few key simple things. And that all starts from your self-worth, self-value, and how you think of yourself. Now, I say that as someone who valued myself very lowly. And I can say that with much confidence now. But back then, it was a complete shambles. I mean, it looked like I was great and I was doing well, but personally, I didn't like who I was. Mostly because I didn't think people liked me for who I was. And when I say people, I say guys. And I wanted to change who I was for them. I wanted to change my appearances, my looks, my personality, just to appease them and to appeal that to the male gaze. So what do I mean by this? Well, let's start with some rules, some natural rules or natural laws. In biology, in anatomy, or just in the world in general, we have certain rules, chemistry, physics, whatever you say. I'm taking Chem 1 right now, and it's going great, as you can probably think. But yeah, so basically, what we have right now are natural laws when it comes to relationships. You can think of it like that in a way. There are certain things that must be done, and certain things that should be avoided. But also, before you even get into a relationship, before you even step foot into that door with another partner, what you should be doing is taking care of yourself. Understanding yourself and what your self-needs are, self-care, boundaries, most importantly, because how can you expect to go ahead to another partner and have them respect you when you can't respect your own self? So this is why I'm going to start with my first step and my first rule, natural rule, being boundaries. And I've heard this word been tossed and thrown around a lot, a little bit lazily, I would say, but I think we've gotten a good gauge of boundaries as a generation. And honestly, if I hear more people talking about boundaries and saying, my boundaries are up, my boundaries are firm, they're right here, then that's better than the people going ahead and saying my boundaries are kind of like wishy-washy, they're kind of like sloppy and everything. We want the good boundaries. We want firm, safe boundaries. We don't want the other stuff. But it's important to realize what boundaries are. And it's important to realize that because when you put up boundaries, what are you putting up exactly? And a lot of that comes from experience. Whether you like it or not, a lot of what we come from, or a lot of what we experience in the past dictates how we view things in the future. And that's just how it's been. Now, I want to make it clear right now and just right away that these are all steps that should be taken before anyone enters a relationship. And what I mean by that is that before you even step foot, like I said before, in the door with somebody new, with someone you want to trust yourself with for the rest of your life. I mean, before you make that commitment to somebody, whether it's a short-term fling, a long-term thing, if we're looking for a long-term thing, we're looking for something that really suits us. We're looking for something that could be long-term, you know what I mean? What does long-term mean? It can go into the future indefinitely. We don't want it to end. We want to keep going. We want to succeed, to prosper, to foster. And it can only do better for us. But boundaries is the first step in making sure that both for you and your partner, that you're both capable of achieving this. I think boundaries are so important because they are so correlated with low self-esteem. And I'm sorry to say it, but I've been told it myself, from my peers, from my girlfriends. But honestly, when guys sense low self-esteem, they can use it and take advantage of it. And that's just how it is. And not only can they sense it, but they can really sense it. They can detect it. And that's visible to them. I mean, that's just apparent. And you don't want your guard down. It's not even a guard, but you don't want to let that show, you know what I mean? You don't want to have that ability to go ahead and say, well, now he goes ahead and he can take advantage of me because he sees that I'm weak. He sees that I'm not going to I don't have respect for myself. I don't have love for myself. I don't have self-care. I'm only here for him. In fact, I don't bring anything to the relationship. I don't. I don't have much to bring because I don't value myself. If you don't value yourself, what value are you bringing to the next person? They're bringing their to the tables. They're bringing their personality, their character, their love. They're showing those acts of appreciation. They're doing all of that for you. But as a partner, what are you bringing to the table? You have to start with self-love, first and foremost, or else it will never work. It will never go anywhere, and I'm sorry, sister, but it just won't succeed, long-term or short-term. I want to give an example of a boundary, and I also want to just go ahead and share a little bit of my experience with boundaries now and how they'll correlate to self-esteem directly, because it may seem, well, Zippy, I see you talking about self-esteem and boundaries, but like, how are they connected? Like, how does that make any sense? You know what I mean? But as I said before, they are very connected. They're very, very intertwined. For me, I struggle with the self-love, self-acceptance. If I were to enter a relationship with somebody, I would have them walk all over me immediately. I would never have them go ahead and say, oh yeah, well, treat me like this, and I appreciate if you do this for me, and please don't, stop. This is not. I don't appreciate this. Consent is important. Saying no is important. All those things are valid. In a relationship, no matter what it comes to, whether it's anything physical, intimate, or even just day-to-day things, like something maybe like, hey, I don't like this. I don't appreciate your tone of voice. I don't like how this was handled. The situation could have been handled a little bit differently. But you're making that known to your partner so they can respect that. And guess what? If they truly are there for you and respect you and love you, which I hope they are, they will appreciate that and they will respect that. And not only will that happen, but they will go ahead and they will say respectfully, you know what? Sure, I will oblige. We come into a relationship thinking that we can just be ourselves and be who we are regardless. We won't change for anybody. We'll just be ourselves. And I'm a stubborn person. I'm an extrovert. But I'm also someone who goes ahead and I'm like, I want it done my way. I want things done my way. It's how it always was. And that still is there time to time, but it's a work in progress. What I can say for certain now is that I've realized when I meet a man, or if I'm going to go ahead and meet any person, any partner of mine, I need to know that I need to adapt to them as well. I can't have it done my way. I can't have it done everything my way because they have boundaries. Like I have my own boundaries and like I respect myself as well, I respect their boundaries. So, talk about boundaries, just remember that boundaries is a two-way street. You can't go ahead and expect someone to go ahead and respect your boundaries, your time, your attention, everything that you do, but you can't respect what they do. And you can't respect their boundaries and what they want and what they're asking from you in that relationship. So always make sure to respect both sides. Relationships are equal two-way street. You're both going, you're both crossing, you're in parallel, you're walking together. Think about it, you're walking together. There is no crossing the pole. There is no wishy-washy. There's no, running up and down. You guys are going together. It may not be a perfect line, it may not be a straight line, it may not be a perfect journey, sure, but at least walk together, respect the boundaries, hold the hands together, and understand that you're there for each other. And that should really make this work. Now, I want to cover intent and intentions from a man. Now, I think in Gen Z, this generation, as women, we struggle a lot with this. And I think I've seen it a lot in my friends, but also more in myself. We tend to go ahead and say we know a man's intentions, we know them pretty well, we got them figured out, and we don't. Or we're just blindsided about what happens in the end. We figure out that I might have an idea what he wants, okay, this is going really well, and when he leaves, or he just gets up and walks away, or cheats, or whatever happens, something unstable happens, we just kind of react, and we're like, oh no, like, I didn't see it coming. I never saw it coming. But girl, you did. And I can tell you this because I saw it coming too. We've all seen it coming. But you can always see it coming because of intentions. The most important thing with intentions is knowing that you can avoid the heartbreak, the heartache, and all the issues by just going ahead and firmly asking ahead of time from a man, what do you want with me? What do you want from me, actually? Now, Steven Speaks has a really good video on this. I watched it the other night, actually. My aunt put me on to him. He's a great YouTuber. He's a great motivational coach. And I really understood that intentions are something that should be asked right away in the beginning of a relationship. It should be asked promptly. I don't mean maybe like, oh, out the gate, like as soon as you hop out in their car, or as soon as you go in the restaurant, or wherever you're going for a first date, or however it be. You ask, okay, what do you want with me? Like, what do you want with my daughter? Like how dad used to ask back in the day when they're courting. No, you can't be that upfront with it. That's the most important part. When you're asking, don't make sure you ask in a way that's very, suspicious, hostile, kind of like thinking that you know what they're going to say. And I tend to do it a lot. Sometimes with men, and not sometimes, most of the time, I find myself predicting what they're going to say, and I would rush them, or I would go ahead and say, or think in my mind, like, oh, well, he's going to say this already, so I know. I'm not going to bother. I'm not going to bother even attempting to hear him out or trying to understand him. My idea is going to end badly only because I've had experiences where it's all ended badly. And in the, relationship, you really can't blame women, men, or anyone. You can't blame anyone for saying, well, I got hurt in the past, and I got hurt repetitively, over and over again, consistently, constantly. And now that kind of shapes who I am now, and I'm a little bit more, and I was that person. I'm a little bit more, held back, a little bit more suspicious at times, but only because I've been through this and know how it goes. But I'm here to tell you, as someone who went through that, yes, it is a way of thinking, it is a way of going through trauma, through pain and coping mechanism. But also, most importantly, we have to let go of the hurt. We have to let go of those past experiences. And that's a whole nother episode for a whole nother time. I could go into trauma care, I could go into coping skills and the whole therapeutic endeavor, you know what I mean? But with relationships, you have to understand that it really just starts with self-love. And the reason why asking intentions in early relationships is so important is because eventually the man will reveal it to you eventually. Like, it will happen. He's going to tell you, or he's going to show you, or he's going to do something, some act or something that will tell you and show you what he really is there for. Is he there for you? Is he there for your time, for your commitment, for your personality, for your character, for who you really are, for those endeavors? Or is he there for the stuff that's good in bed? Is he there for maybe the money? Is he there because he's bored? Is he there because, it's a good time? Like, those kind of things are important to keep in mind because intentions can vary from men to men, and they can vary in so many different ways. It's actually quite unbelievable. So it's important to keep this in mind when dating and pursuing a man and when also being pursued by them. People always like to say that relationships are like dating your best friend, and marriage is like marrying your best friend. And with long-term relationships, this tends to happen when people are really friends and start off as friends. They get closer, closer, and closer, maintain attachment, but in the end, they're still operating as friends. Think about someone that you're really close with and that you're tied with. What were your intentions with them? Did you go up to your friend? Did you meet them? Or did you ever, in the course of the time you've been together, think of like, I'm going to hurt them deliberately. I'm going to use them deliberately, financially, whether it be any way. Am I going to go ahead and abuse them? Did you ever think that with so-and-so, I'm going to go ahead and put so-and-so out of, put them in misery or, out of luck? Nobody has that intent going into a relationship with a friend, right? So why go ahead and use a partner in the same way? And people don't usually intentionally use people, but it can come off really badly. And so when women go ahead and they experience, or even men, exactly, when they go ahead and experience certain things where people have varying intentions, they're not very solid with them, they're kind of wishy-washy, and they get hurt, they start seeing the world in a very different light, in a very different way, and questioning everyone else's intentions. Because they're like, well, if I can't trust so-and-so, and I've been hurt so many times, how can I do the same in the future? But guess what? The future isn't guaranteed. Now, I know this third and last rule, this natural law, is going to be so unpopular with a lot of people, and it's going to really rub people in the wrong way. But I promise you, as I said before, that is not my intent. Actually, my intent right here is to go ahead and explain to you the concept of the C word, and that is commitment. Now, I know what you're thinking, commitment. Is that what I want? Is that what I'm really looking for? Is that what I'm searching for right now? And I get it. But if you think of it really pragmatically and really practically, you guys have to understand that when it comes to relationships, core fundamental idea that's involved here is commitment. We want to understand, why are we with this person? What are we doing with them? For how long do we see ourselves with them? These are like key main questions that are so easy to like lose track of and get caught up in when you're in the height of your emotions and that vulnerable state of attractiveness. Oh, I like him. Oh, I like her. She's so beautiful. He's so handsome. You lose track of everything else, and you completely are blindsided by what they are. And in the end, they truly reveal themselves, and then you're like, oh my gosh, who are they? Who did I just spend 5 months talking to? Who did I just spend maybe 10 years engaged to? What I spent the last 12 years with raising my kids with as my husband and my wife. And just like intent and the two previous rules and natural laws that I continue to go and elaborate on, these are all connected. I mean, think about it. Commitment and intent. How are these not one and the same? When you're exploring commitment and when you're exploring content, you're explaining the same things. Because when you go ahead, enter a brand new relationship with somebody that you don't even really know that well, but you want to let to know, then at that point, you're under something completely unknown, but you're committing yourself to that person, and your intentions are pure. Intentions are valid, but where do they lie? Or where do their partner's intentions lie? That's what we want to try to figure out and get to the bottom of. Not only that, we want to understand commitment. How far do we see ourselves going with this? Of course, not every relationship will end up with, wedding bells and doves. There is a complete industry, in case you're not aware, in America and around the world, of people involved in self-help and people involved in guiding people. And not only that, there's so many companies and corporations who are doing the same exact thing. Scroll through Reddit, go through Google. People are trying to understand about what can I do to better myself. I mean, if you ask an addict or you ask someone struggling with substance abuse or mental health, they may go ahead and tell you, how did you stay sober for so long? How did you get to, all those AA meetings? How did you get to be where you are right now? As someone who's possibly an athlete, how did you get all those grand slams as a tennis player? How did you get all those titles as a golfer? How did you get all that respect and admiration and a lot? And lastly, in a relationship, it's the same way. People tend to ask for someone who's been married 25 years or 30 years. How are we able to stay that on for so long? Now, I don't have an answer for that question because I had never been alive 25 years. So I haven't been alive for people's length of marriage. But I can tell you, and I can test right now, for those of us who are young people I'm speaking to right now, Gen Z, we haven't made it there. We still have another 50 or so years before we can kind of commit. This time, many can say, is exploring, understanding our options, and seeing what it comes down to. But I think more so than that, it's understanding our capabilities and ourselves. It's so important to build in self-value and self-trust. There is no rush and no need to go ahead and enter a relationship today or tomorrow just to go ahead and fulfill that, oh, I have a boyfriend factor. We can leave that back in high school and middle school. And right now, and college, or just in young adult life, we need to understand that moving forward, our intentions are where our purity lies. When I talk commitment, I don't mean ownership of anybody. I don't mean you're owning that individual. I don't mean you have control over them. I don't mean you're possessive or whatever it may be. I mean that you're going ahead and you're saying, I'm willing to have a full relationship with you and just you for the rest of my life. And do you know how pure and amazing that is? Whether you're religious or whether you're not, that's something that I think all of us can agree on is so important. And most people at the end of the day, biologically, I would like to assume, don't want to have just flings and hookups and a bunch of whatever it may be, Tinder dates until they're 70 years old. Some might, but that isn't the majority of people. And even those individuals probably want something more long-term eventually. Even they want to settle down. Even they want to go ahead and raise their own kids and have a child or whatever and do whatever they want. If kids are not an equation, so be it. But most of us want a long-term relationship with someone that is a nice partner and can fill our needs, we fulfill theirs. Whether it be just through trust, admiration, and respect, we can build those qualities by first looking through ourselves. So let's start. So please join me.